Welcome to Networking RX, a podcast devoted to helping business professionals like you enhance your networking skills in order to become more proficient giving and receiving quality business referrals and improving the overall quality of your life and the lives of those around you. The Networking RX podcast is a production of AmSpirit Business Connections, an organization whose mission is to empower business success through networking.
Record on this computer. Welcome to the Networking RX podcast. I'm your host, Frank Agin, founder and president of AmSpirit Business Connections. Today, we have another great guest. As our ongoing subscribers know, often on this podcast, I will share ideas, insights, and best practices for building professional relationships and excelling at business networking. And from time to time, we bring on guests, subject matter experts, authors, speakers, thought leaders, social scientists. And they all share their knowledge to help us build better relationships and understand why humans act the way they do. Today's guest is mmyrter. If that name sounds familiar, she was on the podcast back in late January, episode 254, if you will. And if you want to listen to that podcast, you'll kind of get her whole story. But I wanted to have her back on because what she talked about in that podcast, part of what she talked about in there leading up to her story and how she got to this place in time was a system called Bank. And she's a certified coach within Bank. And I wanted to really have a conversation about Bank. I had a woman on early on in the podcast, Jory Fisher, who Michelle knows. And we really didn't talk about Bank as much as I thought we should have. But now that I'm really understanding it and see it in action, I really wanted to take a deeper dive into Bank and what it is and how people can benefit from it. So Michelle, thank you for coming back on the program. Why don't you, I guess, let's just kick it off, talk about Bank. I guess we got your whole story, but how you kind of stumbled on Bank and, what it is and what you see it being all about, if you would.
So first, thanks for having me again. And I actually came across Bank when I was at a convention, and the founder, Sherry Tree, I saw her on stage and she blew me away for so many reasons. One, because I was in a sales position and it's very difficult to duplicate. And that's what you have to duplicate or be able to train people on how to sell. And some people it just comes natural to. And I was one of those people where it came natural to me. And I thought I was really doing well, but come to find out I was missing 50% of my sales anyway. But when I heard Sherry speak, not only did it intrigue me because of the business aspect and the sales aspect of it, but my son has sensory issues. And he was in a program called Brain Balance, where it's a holistic approach to work with kids who they're in the spectrum, have autism, ADHD, and ADD. And when he would go for program, I would sit and talk to the parents. One of the biggest struggles that the parents had was being able to understand and communicate with their kids. And they didn't understand why they did certain things or why they didn't understand what the parents were trying to tell them. And so while I was listening to her speak, it hit home with me. And once I took the coaching program and actually implemented what I had learned, it took all of my relationships with my kids to an entirely different level. Exponentially, it increased my sales, grew my team. But what really touched me was the relationships that it changed.
Gotcha. Now, how long ago was this?
I saw her, it was over a year ago,
Okay.
Probably a year and a half ago at a conference.
Okay, interesting. Now, you and I have talked several times, and Bank is an acronym, and we'll get through that acronym. I am a BNKA, I think. I don't know. That's what I seem to be. You call me a blueprint, but let's go through those. Let's talk about the B's, the A's, the N's, and the K's, and kind of how it works.
Okay, so the blueprint, which you are, that's your dominant code. Everybody, keep in mind, everybody has all of these codes in them. It's just how they show up and in what order. So the blueprint people like structure and stability, systems, planning, processes, predictability. They hate risk. responsibility, duties, roles, credentials, titles, and traditions. They make lists. They don't like surprises. You don't want to like show up and be unannounced and blow their whole day because they have a plan. They really hate risk. They are always on time, probably 20 to 30 minutes early. They're the ones that will be waiting for you when you show up for an appointment. And when they like rules. And there's, they like things in that order and with that predictability. So they're really...
That's why I'm behind today, and it makes me sick that I feel like I'm struggling.
Exactly. Because those types of things really matter. So for example, my first code is an action, but my daughter's first code is a blueprint. So we showed up on two completely different levels. One, I really didn't pay much attention to time. We'd go for a trip. I'd be packing the morning of, loading up, being late. She would be packed a week in advance, waiting by the door. So before we even left, there was a conflict.
Yeah. I have people like that in my life. Anyhow, go ahead.
Okay.
You're an A.
M&A, my favorite, the freedom, flexibility, spontaneity, action. They like attention. They like fun and freedom. They're the movers, the shakers, the millionaire makers, right? They're like little firecrackers. They walk up to you. They're like the high five, fist pump. They are all about the action. And those people have completely different values than the blueprints. So they're outside the box, the blueprints inside the box. And they show up completely different and make different decisions based on what their values are. Then we have the N's, which are the people who love everyone. They have hearts of gold. They are the ones who are going to be out there doing community work. They like responsibility and authenticity, ethics, community, charity, teamwork. They're all about the mission. And then you have your knowledge people, they need the science and the data and the graphs and all of the information. They live on learning and they base their decisions on learning, but they can also get into paralysis analysis because they overthink everything. And so how you communicate to all the different people, it really could turn somebody off or turn them on to what it is you're trying to say.
I've been telling people about this. You and I have spoken, you've shared a program you've done a program for a group of people we pulled together, I should say. And I've shared about this, and it kind of, I know when people come at me, I get angry, right? Because they're probably the action people. There's like, hey, this is great, it's awesome. And it's like, I don't want to be sold to that way. And the story I was telling my wife about this, and I said, years ago, when I changed this organization from Network Professionals to AmSpirit, I made a decision early on. I wasn't going to buy everybody a new name badge. There's hundreds of people in the organization. Let them just use the old name badges. Eventually it'll work itself out. And there was one of my directors called me, and he was if a director had come at me and said, oh, damn it, you're a cheap SOB, I would have just rebelled, and it would have made me mad. I would have got defensive. And he came at me with a very kind of a calm approach. He said, let's think about this. Let's think about the opportunity here. He didn't really sell me on it. He just kind of painted kind of a strategic picture for me. You can really use this to benefit yourself. And by the time that call was over, I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. And it was all his approach.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So blueprints and actions are complete opposites. So when you have that person come at you like that, you're more mellow and reserved. When that person comes at you with that action personality, you're taken back, and you don't, it's not something that the values just don't line up. And the other thing that's interesting is even opportunities, even the way you present an opportunity to certain people is, they take it in differently. So for example, like 9 out of 10 businesses fail, traditional businesses. franchisees, they have I believe it's an 80% success rate because
Right.
there's a system and a plan in place. So it depends on how you present an opportunity and what that opportunity looks like. And if there's a system and plan in place for a blueprint, that would be an opportunity. But if you presented it in an opportunity action style where you're going to make money, it's going to be great, you're going to have freedom, that's not something that a blueprint would take as an opportunity.
Well, and that's interesting because I have an organization that I have franchised, and I've told people I would probably never buy into somebody else's franchise. Now, I did originally with this, but the thought of other people's rules bother me, which is almost kind of, hey, wait a minute, I'm not a blueprint. Now, I'm not an action either. I don't know. It's kind of this is all probably very complicated, right? I mean, there are some days I wake up, or in some crowds, I'm the action person. You know what I'm saying? It varies from day to day.
It does. And that's why I said, like, everybody has all of these codes in them. And it depends on the environment you're in. It depends on what's being presented to you is how you're going to show up. So like the order that they're in, your third code is your stress code.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're under stress, you show up completely different than you would on a normal basis. And that's one of the reasons that you can change from code to code. And what we work on is you being able to pull those codes out when you need them, instead of when you're under stress or when you're presenting to someone else and you're showing up in your own code, because that's typically how people show up.
Now, when you talk to people, you try and recognize their codes and then just change your communication accordingly?
Absolutely. And it's not that you're changing the person you are,
right.
You're changing how you're communicating your message and how you're showing up. Like,
you're meeting them where they live, essentially, I guess the way to look at it.
Exactly. You're putting their lenses on and and showing up in a way that they're going to resonate with and be able to communicate better. And that way they're able to take the information in that you're presenting to them.
Gotcha. Interesting. I mean, it's all very, very interesting. Now, the third one is your stress code. For me, I think that's a K. And I'm trying to, the more I've thought through this and seen your programs, I'm certainly looking at other people and saying, you are. My oldest son's a K, my wife's a K, my daughter's probably an A. I'm still trying to figure out my youngest son, what he is. And I will. But just trying to, look through and think about people and how I deal with them. But, I've noticed that, okay, I'm getting stressed. Okay, what am I grappling for? Okay, I'm grappling for numbers. It's almost like it's a combination of my blueprint and the knowledge. I need to analyze this to death, kind of a thing.
Right.
So how could people help you, or I guess what's something where they could learn more? Obviously they could reach out to you, and we'll put your contact information in the show notes. I think if that would be helpful for you, certainly. I don't want to paint you into a corner with people calling you. To me, this is interesting. It's very interesting, what this all is and what it can do. This is something you do. You actually coach people on this. You teach them how to do these things.
Absolutely. So what we do is go through a 12-week coaching program. It's a group coaching program. And the reason it's a group coaching program is because you're able to actually be in a group with other codes. So you're going to learn while we're communicating, because you're going to see how other codes interpret things and how they communicate. And we also build on the 6 intelligences. So personality intelligence is just a part of it. Then there's emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is more important than IQ. So there's Fortune 500 companies that are paying thousands of dollars to train their people on emotional intelligence so that you're able to actually have compassion and understanding and empathy for other people.
Right.
And that's just huge. So there's emotional, then business, sales, artificial intelligence, and spiritual intelligence. So when you build on all of those layers, you can become the best version of yourself and really be able to make a difference with people.
So you actually have different ways of communicating, or it just becomes second nature for you?
Yeah, it's really, so the more you learn and the further you get into it, like
Right.
I'm actually like, even on a TV show, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'll be cracking the codes of people on the TV show and everything starts to make sense. So I saw this commercial the other day and it was all blueprint. Like it was an insurance commercial and they literally said blueprint. We have a blueprint, we have a system, we have a plan. So this commercial was focused marketing right on that blueprint person. And that's, even when you're doing your marketing and stuff like that, you could have your perfect avatar and market directly towards that person. So it's really cool, all of the uses. And there's no other training that focuses on not only your business, but every relationship that you have. That's huge.
Right. Right. Well, relationships are relationships. I mean, personal relationships are, they're not the same, but they're very similar to our professional relationships because it's all about getting to know, like, and trust people.
Yeah.
So, well, how can people help you? How can they help you, and what would be a good way of contacting you?
So they can reach me through my email, which is, should I give the email now or do you want to?
Well, you go ahead and give it now and I'll put it in the show notes too.
It's mmyrter@gmail.com.
Okay.
And I will offer a free 30-minute discovery call to see if bank is something that would help them in their life.
Now, what types of people are really good bank people? I'm guessing salespeople, but you probably work with all types, or?
I do. So coaches could benefit from bank, sales professionals. I work with sales teams, anybody who, even therapists.
Okay.
Like when you look at it as how people are able to help the people they work with better, they have to understand how they're showing up and what's important to them.
Yeah.
So the different varieties of people I work with are all over the board.
Okay. I could see an executive or somebody who runs a business be like, okay, I need this because I have all these teams, I have all these temperaments, and I don't get it. I'm doing this here and it's not working here. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Even for example, for like when you're hiring people,
mm-hmm.
If you're going to take someone who's an action person and stick them in a data position where they're in an office all day, it's never going to work out. They're going to lose their mind.
Right.
So even things like that, it really makes a difference. And when you're able to actually understand what your employee needs and give them a position that's going to fit, or know if that's going to fit, then you don't have that turnover rate.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see this benefiting a whole lot of different things or different organizations in my short corporate life. They wanted everybody to kind of fit into a box, and and I was in an accounting firm, so I was probably with a lot of blueprints, but I was the least blueprint of the blueprints. Now they may have been a lot of BKs, and I was more BN because I love going out and seeing clients. And selling work, but I didn't like to stick my nose in the tax code and, really kind of dig into it. So I don't know, it's just all very interesting. Well, we'll put your email in the show notes. I really appreciate you being on. This is very informative and I keep learning about this. So, and
I love watching you learn because I can tell every time I talk to you, get like another aha moment where you're like, yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's powerful. I think it's very powerful, and I guess the big regret is I wish I would have known about it sooner. So anyhow, thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks for joining us on the Networking RX podcast. Please put what you've learned into action today and let us know if you have questions, comments, or ideas for future topics. You can email them to us at podcast@amspirit.com. That's AmSpirit.com. Finally, so you never miss an episode, be sure to subscribe to the Networking RX podcast through iTunes, Overcast, or however you receive your podcasts. Now get out and network with someone.
The Networking RX podcast is the copyright production of AmSpirit Business Connections. All rights reserved.